everyone, welcome to my channel, Afro Mama. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Paige. I'm a first time natural hair mommy to a 11-month-old. I just wanted to thank everybody who is returning, as well as those who are viewing for the first time. If you enjoy this video, please make sure to give it a like and comment and subscribe, please. Today I really just wanted to sit down and have a more relaxed video and kind of have a chit chat story time. I just wanted to share my pregnancy journey and my miscarriage story, mostly because I feel like there's a lot of benefit in sharing these types of stories, sharing stories that aren't typically spoken of. And I know that it is 1 in 4 women that deal with or experience pregnancy loss, and I am 1 in 4. And I just thought that even if this video helps educate one other person, it more so serves its purpose. So I just want to get right into my story. So my husband and I, we got married 3 years ago. We took a year to consciously not family plan and sort of just deal with, or sort of just be together and take that time to ourselves and ask each other questions, handle certain parenting situations, and just have those hard conversations before we decided to start family planning. I also just need to say that I never assumed that getting pregnant naturally was in my story, was written for me, just because I didn't know what was to come. I didn't know what my body was capable of. I just didn't assume that any of that was necessarily in store for me. I prayed for it and it's what I wanted, but I just didn't know if that was actually going to be how my life panned out. But a year after we got married, we decided that we wanted to start trying to start a family. And actually the same month that we decided to start trying for a family, and let me just say, my period has always been regular. Basically, ever since I got my period has always been regular. I have like very telltale signs when I'm ovulating. That's just something that I've always really been in tune with. So I did some research before we decided to give it a go. Once we were ready, that's just exactly what we did. And I actually got pregnant the first cycle that we started trying, to my surprise. I just, not only did I not assume that I would ever get pregnant, but I also didn't assume that it would happen the first cycle, which it did. And I felt that I was pregnant almost immediately. I knew that I was pregnant. My husband knew that I was pregnant, so the pregnancy test just confirmed what I was feeling on the inside, and we were elated. We were so excited that we were expecting. And of course, the moment that we saw a positive test, all the thoughts flood to our mind, and we began to envision a life with this unborn child. We were just so excited. We shared the news with our loved ones. I scheduled my first OB appointment, which the protocol for my office is to have the first visit be between 6 and 8 weeks. So of course I tried to get the visit closer to 6 weeks rather than closer to 8 weeks, because I was just really eager to get that confirmation. So I scheduled my visit. I had some typical pregnancy symptoms. I was a little bit nauseous. I just felt a difference in my body. I could just feel that something was different. But I must say, I did also have a feeling in my gut that just something was off. And I took a million pregnancy tests after that one positive. I took so many pregnancy tests, it was horrible. I just couldn't stop taking tests because I just couldn't believe it. And I must say, none of my tests ever really were solid of a line. It was always a faint line, but I always researched that there's no such thing as a false positive, so if it's there, it's there. So I kept testing, and I think it was just before my OB visit, I went to the bathroom and I saw some spotting when I wiped myself, and I knew that wasn't right. I knew, well, let me say, in my research, I saw that some women do spot, so it's not that it's completely abnormal, but I just felt something in my gut that just something wasn't right. So it was the day before my first OB visit. I called my doctor once I saw the spotting. They asked the typical questions, so nothing that was concerning to them to have me come in immediately. They just told me to keep an eye on it. If it gets worse, call. and just go to my visit that I had scheduled that next day. That night, honestly, I was a little bit of a mental wreck. I must have gone back and forth to the bathroom a dozen times in between of 8 hours while I should have been sleeping, just to wipe myself, just to see if like the blood progressed, if it got worse. And it really wasn't healthy what I was doing. And my husband even tried to tell me to just motorcycles. I was just going to the bathroom, constantly checking, and it didn't get worse that night. When I woke up the next morning, I think I noticed a little bit more blood, but I went to my visit. I was examined and my cervix wasn't open, so my doctor wasn't concerned that I had miscarried or anything at that point. He sent me immediately to go get my blood work and get my labs and check my numbers. So I got that done. And I remember next morning, this is October of 2018, I woke up and I was bleeding so much more. It almost resembled a period, and I knew that I was miscarrying. It was just the only thing that would make sense. And I remember calling my mom, and I remember my mom just apologizing that this was my first experience being pregnant and just really trying to be there for me, and she was there for me. She gave me so much peace. I knew that she experienced a miscarriage, so there was a little bit of peace in that she could sympathize with me and really understand how I was feeling. So for whatever reason, I still drove to work. I went to work that day. Once I got to work and went to the bathroom, I was really bleeding a lot, like really a lot, and that's really when it extra kicked in. And I remember I left work, I called my doctor, he scheduled me to have a ultrasound, he scheduled me to have more blood work done, and I went home. My husband met me at home, he drove me to get the blood work, he drove me and came with me for my ultrasound. Ultrasound was definitely a bit traumatizing, only because it was a transvag ultrasound, while I was pretty sure I was miscarrying. So just to have that ultrasound while I also am conscious of the fact that I was probably miscarrying just like messed with me a little bit. But I had that done. I saw the doctor that day. He did confirm that I was suffering from a miscarriage. I was expelling everything myself, so I didn't need a D&C. He was really great. He gave us so much comfort in that moment. He reassured us that it was nothing at all that we did. He gave me as much peace as he possibly could. Of course, I was still devastated. My husband and I, it was just something that we had to go through ourselves, like between him and I. And there was really no outside control of that process, and us to just grieve the future of that child that we had planned in our mind. He told us that we're free to start trying again. He recommended waiting a cycle just so that the tissues inside me could just fully expel, and God willing, if I got pregnant again, it would start with fresh tissue. So I did that. We let our family know everything that happened, and they were all so great. Our friends and family, they were all so great. Let a cycle go by, and we were ready to try again. And it was just in our cards that we got pregnant again, the first cycle that we decided to start trying again. And that pregnancy was the pregnancy that brought me my daughter. I did go through a mental battle during my pregnancy with Avery, though, because I was just so paranoid from what happened previously, my previous experience, and it really forced me to really lean on my faith to like not go crazy and not stress myself out to the point that I did cause harm. So that could be a whole other video, because I could speak so much on the mental struggle, the mental battle, me getting through that during my pregnancy and everything that I went through with my pregnancy with Avery. So if you guys would like to hear that story, just leave a comment below and I would love to film that. I think it would be helpful. But this is my story. This was my miscarriage story, and it was so devastating. It was heartbreaking, but I know, unfortunately, of course, that so many women have gone through this. It's more common than is spoken of, and I just thought that sharing my story would give some type of resource to another woman or another person whose partner is going through this. And I just hope that it was beneficial to hear my story, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. If you made it this far, please give the video a thumbs up, and I look forward to creating more content. All right, bye-bye.